video, I want to cover some stability exercises specifically for the squat. Where most people will feel uncomfortable is at the very bottom where they spend the least amount of time. And there's other issues you sometimes see as well, like people shifting off to one side and how to address that. So I'm going to show you some exercises ranging from easy to difficult to start working on stability at the bottom of the squat. An exercise I'm a big fan of for beginners is finding a box, step, or a bunch of plates and meeting them where they're at with the range of motion that they currently have. This is appropriate for me simply because my back is comfortable here and I'm able to get into this amount of hip flexion. If this is feeling uncomfortable for somebody, I would go up a little bit higher so that they can have control over their spine and not have any tugging going on around here. We want it to be comfortable. And with foot placement, it's individual based on their hips. So you can go about hip width or slightly wider, and then you can have your feet slightly out a bit more. Depends what you need at first, but this isn't the point of the exercise, so don't worry too much about the foot placement. From here, what we're gonna do is, the easiest version of this is bringing an arm up, but trying not to rib flare. You're gonna be pushing that rib down and bracing as you're still sitting here. You're not lifting up or anything, you're just spending time in this position, bringing your arm up and pushing the rib down and trying to get comfortable, basically holding for 5 seconds that isometric contraction in your core. And try it on both sides. And at first you might not feel too much, it might take a little bit of practice, but eventually building your way up to 15 seconds on each side. You can do 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. It should start burning up. And then if that starts getting easy, then you're ready for step 2. Step 2 is loading this up. I'm choosing a 1 kilogram little plate, but you can go even lighter because it's surprisingly difficult. Placing your hand on the inside of this leg, bringing your arm up, pushing the rib down and squeezing. That should already create so much internal tension around here. 5 seconds, and then switching sides. So here we're wanting to keep our thoracic nice and upright. It's almost like you're bringing your chest up, but you're pushing your ribs down. And then step 3 is going to be hovering off the step. All right, this is probably the worst part, is the hovering part. We're going to do exactly the same thing, but now we're going to shift our weight forward a touch so that we can make a nice tripod foot, really squeeze the toes into the ground, brace, and we're popping up a touch to hover at the very bottom. 5 seconds, rest. Switch sides, another 5 seconds. And there's a problem in the squat where someone is struggling to find their center of balance. Either they're folding forward or falling back. Of course, that's got a lot to do with ankle dorsiflexion and mobility issues that can be addressed separately. But one of the things you can do to teach the movement pattern and where to place your weight and where to place your muscle contractions is by simply using a band and placing it around your back. I might use something a little bit stronger than this, but for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to use a super light band. It's going to go right around until it's just sort of under your armpits, and it's going to be held tightly in front of you. From here, oh, sorry, just knocked the mic. From here, we're simply going to practice the squat. You can use a heel elevation if you need to, if ankle dorsiflexion is limited, but this should help you remain upright and be able to practice this movement enough time so that when you take the band away, you will know where roughly your weight is going and when you're going to contract certain muscles because you've already just done it. Next thing I want to show you is a really, really strange exercise using the band that's going to be tugging you on one side of your hip. You can have so many reasons why this is happening when you're basically squatting down and someone is ending up kind of going off to one side. It can be imbalances in simply leg strength or QL length and strength. It could be maybe your QL is tight on one side or weak. There could be hip rotation issues, there could be ankle issues. There's so many reasons this could be happening. But when, say, all these issues are being addressed and this movement pattern is still happening, this is a handy exercise you can do to try to relearn the pattern and get balance back into the squat. You're going to take a band, and the band is going to be pulling you slightly forward and off to the side. And it's really awkward because you're basically putting it on one bum cheek and you're allowing it to kind of tug you off to one side. Oh, the dog's feet are in the way. You have no choice but to sort of stabilize your hips, and you will feel any imbalance a little bit more because of this tugging. Say you are normally shifting off to one side, if this is tugging you to another side or to whichever side it is, you're going to end up having to stabilize. You're going to do this on both sides, no matter which one is the unstable one. So the next squat drill is learning the overhead squat pattern. You can also use wedges under your heels for this, but the key with it is to have a light band attached in front of you, but also below your midline. It can be all the way to the ground or it can be around midline, but ideally it has to be tugging you down the way. So you're gonna stand directly in front of it, take the band. This is why it needs to be a light band, because you're bringing it up overhead and out. You wouldn't be able to do that with a bigger band. Push the ribs down, and we're going to be squatting all the way to the bottom and back up while maintaining our arms in this position this entire time. This band's going to be trying to pull you forward, so you're going to be resisting that. And it's going to help you identify which muscles you're going to activate. For example, I am actively thinking of thoracic extension and balancing here. So when I actually load this, I've already done it in some form and know what muscles to engage. So the next drill is overhead squat hovers. You already need to be comfortable with an overhead squat to do this. So this is an advanced one, so don't just try this without first learning the overhead squat. All we're doing is we're getting to the bottom and popping up for 5 seconds to hover isometrically. Usually I would be doing 3 to 5 seconds of hovering and then 3 to 5 seconds of resting at the bottom times 3. So the last exercise you can also use wedges for, of course, is the squat stability at the bottom drill. We're getting to the bottom of our squat, we're resting down here, and then we're going to pop up, hover for 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever's prescribed in the program, come back down and rest, and brace, come back up for that 5 seconds, rest for the prescribed amount of time, usually 5 seconds, and back up for 5 seconds. We've just accumulated 15 seconds hovering at the bottom in that one set. Thanks for watching. If you found that useful, please subscribe and let me know in the comments below what movement you'd like broken down into stability exercises next.